Kaiwei Tang is a designer and entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in product design, design research, and product development. Before co founding Light, he brought more than 10 consumer products to life, including the iconic Motorola Razr. He has a master's degree in design and business from the Institute of Design in Chicago. Light Phone and his designs have been featured in thousands of global press stories for the Wall Street Journal, CNN, and ABC, and events at Samsung Innovation Center, Mayo Clinic Center, and many more. Hi, Kai. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, my first question is a bit of a philosophical one. Why do we need to disconnect from our smartphones?
Well, to me, it was just really obvious, I suppose, because I think it's 2015 when I met my co-founder and is in Google's incubator and start doing research on our relationship with technology. And just kind of freaked myself out, like watching people using the smartphone, subway. I remember vividly this young mother that just have a little kids in the stroller, and just the kids are yelling and crying for the attention, and she just swipe away
Mm,
nonstop. I remember telling myself, like, is this what humanity uh, wants to be?
yeah.
And just simple observations, sitting in the park and restaurant, and you look up, 9 out of 10 people are swiping and staring at the little screen, and without any engagement, human engagement or interactions or any pay attention to anything happens to them. You could be in the park playing with your kids. You'll be swiping away with your emails and social media, right? Like, I just don't think that's where we want to go. And we know that with AI, more smartphone, more product are heading into that direction. I think it's way more important now to offer our society a different option. And disconnecting, it's call it disconnecting to connect, right? Because
Yeah.
if your mind is always somewhere else, you never get time to really think about what's important, or really pay attention and talk to whoever next to you, your family, your partner, your friends. We just all get lost into this dopamine machine that the few big tech companies that created for us, because that they need to make billions of dollars of revenue every year, right? I mean, why is that fair? I understand it's reasonable that the business model make sense. Like, Google offer you free browser, email, everything else is free. They're $1 billion company. It's not free.
Yeah.
They need to make money somewhere, right? It's from your time, your attention, or your kids' time, your browsing histories, their attention, and their location as well. I just don't feel like that should be the only direction all the technology are heading into. In my mind, technology are useful, helpful tools for human, like hammer, like a screwdriver, a scissor. It's great. You need a scissor. You have one. You pull it out, do the thing, put it away. You don't think about your scissor ever again. Right?
Yeah.
And then what we're doing now with our phone, it's a tool, the tool to help us get things done quickly, so
Hmm.
we could go back to living life. But now, how we use this tool is we get to text somebody or get a direction from A to B, and then we start swiping for no
Yeah.
reason at all. If you watch someone using their phone, like in the subway or whatever, like, you pull it out and do something for like 10 seconds. Oh, then you put it away. and then for in 10 seconds you put it out again and do it again. You just keep repeating this on and off, for no reason. um, and the last thing I would say is that, you know, I know maybe, some people doesn't feel like it's a problem, but I would just say, like, just ask yourself or anyone else, when was the last time anyone or in your life ever say that, oh, hey, I just spent 6 hours on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Oh, I loved it. My
Yep.
life feels so much better. I feel so much better about myself. I'm gonna do it again right away. No, we never say that. We're just like, oh, why can I stop?
Yeah.
uh, I think
Yeah.
that's why we need to find a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. We know it's bad for us, but it's so compelling and frankly addictive that we just can't stop ourselves. And I
Yeah.
love like the themes that you were talking about really resonate with me because as my background as a designer, but then, I've been a marketer for many, many, many years. And I think designers and marketers, part of our job is to kind of watch people and observe people, right? Because we are designing for people. And if you do that, if you come up with that mindset, yeah, the problem is pretty obvious, like you said, right? But I think many people, and part two of that is I think our job too, as designers, as marketers, is to question the status quo, right? Um, and I just think, we have become accustomed as a society to accepting this, right? But I love your intention that, actually, we don't have to accept this. And what would that look like, if we took back ownership of the technology, right? And to your point, yeah, technology is a tool. It's just right now, our tool is in charge of us, basically, right? So for me, like light and everything you're trying to do is to flip that relationship back around, and make us in charge of our tech.
Yeah, for sure. And design is definitely a big part of
Yep.
us. And I always believe that to design is to, find the problem that people are not telling you, like
Yep.
the problem that's not visible, that's not obvious. And
Yep.
I think this falls into that category that we all, it's been how many years now? 15, 20 years with smartphone. And we accept that this is okay. And there's nothing wrong because it's so useful and so fun and lots of things going on with your smartphone. But underlying all that is our anxiety, our stress level. A teenager spends 8, 10, 15 hours on the phone
Yeah.
interacting in different platform with who knows what.
Yeah.
And the teenage suicide rate increased right after iPhone introduced,
Yeah.
and it's just getting worse and worse every year. And I don't know if this is not a problem. What is a problem? I think this is the biggest crisis of humanity, in my opinion,
Yeah.
in the risk of exaggerating it. But I do feel like we as human, we need to return phone to tools again.
Yep.
Like it just can be the center of our life. It cannot be the center of our attention.
Yep.
Or you think your life is in your phone. You lose your phone. Oh, what do I do? I don't have my phone. Like it would be fine.
Yeah.
We think we find out that, I mean, a lot of our users came back and told us the same thing, that they realize it is okay to
Hmm.
just not use it. Like almost like giving yourself a permission to not care about what's happening on social media or news, to give yourself that space to find or do the things that you love to do that make you feel good.
Yep.
I remember this customers who use Lightphone, user who use Lightphone, and then she came back. That was like, oh, the biggest finding is that she realized she's just standing in line queuing up to pay grocery, and she realized it's fine to just standing there doing nothing
Yeah.
and look around for like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and and she feel good about it. She's, oh, it's like, start talking to whoever that behind her, or just, pay attention to what's happening around her. So, it's fine. Actually pretty freeing when you do that. And that's
Yeah.
our biggest discovery. It's the beginning, even before we started Lifelong, we did a trial, similar trial, and the feedback is similar, that when
Yep.
you spend time without this machine, you feel free. You
Yep.
feel you're probably gonna feel this nervousness the first 10 minutes and 15 minutes because you're so used to have a thing that you can escape to. So instead of facing the boredom, instead of deal with your own uncomfortable feeling in the crowd, we always retreat to our phone and start swiping.
Yeah.
But when you take that away, you just kind of force yourself to interact and to deal with that situation. And I will argue that's healthy. You know,
Yeah.
um,
For
yeah,
sure. Actually, the statistic is I was going to ask you about nomophobia, but you've actually covered that. Nomophobia is what we were just talking about when
yeah,
you're nervous or anxious, when you don't have your device or when you don't have cell service.
yeah,
And the statistic is, and we focus on young people.
yeah.
So 77% of 18 to 24-year-olds feel this. But what's really interesting is if you look at the latest Pew poll, and I think this is just from this year, 74% of teens say they feel happier without it.
Hmm.
So I think it's
Yeah,
like a really weird
I know.
paradox, but it's exactly what you're talking about. Like you just, once you start practicing it and you feel the freedom, it's just like an undeniable
Yeah, you feel
gift,
much
right?
happier, you feel less stressed out. You will have the fear of missing out, the FOMO at the first 10 minutes, but
Yeah.
almost everyone use life phone had the same experience, and the benefits comes in different ways. You
Yeah.
might feel less stress. I have a gentleman that told us that his heart rate actually reduced when
Wow.
he used life phone. I have college students that use life phone start reading more books and pick up another major in school and pick up photography again. We have people telling us they're not like, anxious about social media all the time now.
Yeah.
So it just, yeah, to me, it's no brainer. And I think it's just always healthy to have balance, and we lost that balance in this space, in the phone industry. Everything
Hmm.
has to be a smartphone now with the AI smartphone, whatever that means, right? And
Yeah.
but the fundamentally, if you ask me, the fundamental problem is not smartphone. It's the business model that
Yeah.
every company, every social media, every app, every free app is doing. It
Hmm.
offer you things that free app, free service without charge it, but they need engagement, meaning your interaction on the screen so they can make money. Right? That's the problem.
Yeah. It's like,
Mhm.
I think Tristan Harris said this, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, right? We
Yeah,
covered this
yeah.
a
This
little bit.
idea has been out there for 15 years, but
Yeah.
we're still where we are. It's
Yeah.
not.
There's, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
There's no free lunch, right? In America. It's like,
No.
if something's free, there is something
Yeah,
that
and
you're
there's
giving, which is your,
absolutely nothing wrong with it. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if I know I'm receiving a free product, and you will track me and use my behavior to attract advertiser to make money, and I have option to not do that and the option to do that. That's great. Like, some people don't want to pay it and use that. That's perfectly fine with me.
Right.
Well, who am I to say? But I'm just saying, with phone, it's just smartphones now. Like, everything has to be that, and
Yep.
and there's no way out. If you don't
Yeah.
want your smartphone, what's your option? Okay, you could delete all your social media app. How many times you put it back? How many
Yeah.
people will say they delete and put it back? Yes, it's so easy just fall back into it, and it's addiction. If we agree, if it's addiction, you can just say, all right, for example, if you want to quit smoking, you say, oh, I'm going to quit smoking. You're going to walk around with your cigarette box
Yeah.
and just tip it over. and put it in your pocket and say, "Oh, I'm gonna quit smoking, but I have this tape over my cigarette box,
Yeah.
cigarette box, so that will help me quit my smoking." It's not gonna happen. So yeah, I'll shut
That's
up.
such a perfect metaphor. Would you mind if I ask you a little bit more about what we were just talking about, which is maybe you can get into a little bit of the tactics of how smartphones, and I know you said it's not really the smartphone, it's more what's on it, but how do smartphones and social media companies use their knowledge of human psychology to keep us on longer? Like, what are some of those tactics that you guys notice?
Well, I mean, I'm not call myself an expert on this, but I know what happened. It's very logical, right? The bottom line is they're making money from advertiser,
Hmm.
so they need precise targeting, so they could sell. If they could synthesize all the data, your browsing history, your location, even your voice, and collecting that data and synthesize you as a person into a really narrow category. The narrower, the better.
Hmm.
So that they could come up with different category that's really precise, and then sell it to whoever needs to target you to buy the product, right? So that's the model. Following that logic, how do you make a really precise targeting? As much data as they can, so that they can synthesize it. You need more data, so your target category has credibility, is reliable. So they need as much data as they can collect from you, right? That's why browser free. That's why companies send out free AI voice bot somewhere, like what's it called? Alexa, whatever, like those machines, right?
Uh-huh.
They give out for free because they need as many data as possible. Um, and To drive those engagement, there are different ways to drive engagement. And the worst kind on social media is the negative stuff, right? If
Yeah.
they know you interact with negative news or a certain horrible accident or news, they know and they will keep feeding you because they
Yeah.
need you to engage. I think that's the worst kind of method to drive engagement. Um, they're not only tracking your browsing history. Some app could track your finger movement as well.
Hmm.
Like when you scroll, when did you stop? When did you slow down? When did you tap? What content you tap, what content you slow down, right? So they have all those data, so they could have a better understanding of what you like.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, that's not who we are. Who we are. You probably heard about story of teenagers on YouTube watch a horrible videos, and then YouTube keep feeding him the same video, and he
Yeah.
got radicalized and moved to a different country and join a terrorist group.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it doesn't it just doesn't seem right. That's the only model that millions of companies are
Yeah.
utilizing, integrating into their product.
Yeah.
I just want a hammer, a screwdriver.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Light Phone is designed. I designed Light Phone for myself, but we're very fortunate that a different group of people resonate with what we're doing and start buying Light Phone for the use
Yeah.
case, which I'm just really happy about.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, because again, our focus is on kids and teens. So
Yeah.
this is a loaded question, but I'm going to ask you, are iPhones and iPads designed with kids and teens in mind?
Sorry, say that again.
Are iPhones and iPads, because they're
Yeah.
the same thing, right? An iPhone you
Yeah.
carry with you, iPad, maybe goes in your backpack, but it's the same product basically. Are they
Yeah.
designed with kids and teens in mind?
Well, I'm going to say they do. They do to a certain degree, meaning that they hire the best psychologists, the
Yeah.
best behavior scientists to get a better understanding how this age group of people interact with technology and what content could drive the maximum engagement. That's why all the games start to have chat room. So they can start interacting with the fellow gamers. But that's not always the case, right? You don't know who is on the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a sense they are, but obviously they're not designing this with the best interest of your teenager kids or teenager crowd in mind. It's designed it's designed with the bottom line in mind.
Yeah.
It's
You're the
just
you're the second person that's given me that answer. I should have said, is it designed for their best intentions in mind? Because you're absolutely right. They're employing
yeah,
neuroscientists and psychologists to make it as sticky as possible for young
of
people with
course.
developing minds, right?
Of
But
course, that's what they do. They gotta make money. They're not non. Apple's not non-profit. Google's not non-profit.
yeah,
Samsung, Amazon, they're all mega billion for-profit company. They didn't
yeah,
design product
yeah,
with your best interest in mind.
yeah,
Like, I mean, if you ask me, like, okay, if I'm designing life and with with your best interest in mind, I'll probably say, I mean, somewhat, but I'm coming from a very different angle. I'm designing a hammer. I'm
yeah,
designing a Swiss Army knife, and I'm selling that for profit. We're selling tools, and what tools do is do one thing good, and that's it.
yeah,
So you're buying a toolbox
yeah,
you could forget about, and that's where I think our phone should be, meaning
yeah,
that it should be a thing that we forget,
yeah.
not in our mind 24/7. The best compliment I remember from our customers was that a guy was was out with his life on an entire weekend and come back saying that, "Hey man," I was like, I have my life on the entire weekend. I went out with my friends, to camping or whatever. I forgot I have a phone. I was like, the
Hmm.
entire time, I never thought about iPhone once. I was like,
Hmm.
man,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. That's how exactly we should use our tools. Uh,
yeah. I'll
anyway,
just I'm just gonna add to that, just like as a
yeah.
parent and a social media marketer and everything else. Um, these are adult products, okay?
Mm,
Like Steve Jobs didn't give the iPhone or iPad to his own kids. They were designed for adults. I'm pretty sure, and I meant to look into this, but when you look at iPhone marketing, I don't see them marketing to kids. They're marketing to adults, right?
yeah,
Um, and then not to mention, I mean, there's a thousand reasons, the biggest one being there's infinite possibilities, right? Is that something we want for our kids? I don't think so. But to add to that, anything where so they have parent controls, right? That's what their retrofit is, but it's a retrofit. A retrofit means you haven't designed it with that person in mind, right? So
yeah,
if we just look at that very simply, like anything that has to have a parent control on it is not designed for a kid, because then why does it need the parent control, right? So that's
yeah.
like a really simple way I look at it as a parent and as somebody that is a social media marketer for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a really complicated question because, I don't have kids, so what do I know? But what I know is company do not make product to not make money, right? So
Yep.
it doesn't matter what people they have in mind. The goal for for-profit companies is to make money, even
Yeah.
though, I'm sure if Apple knows if Apple convinced that promoting iPhone and iPad to kids and creating a whole campaign for kids will make them a lot of money or making sell more tablet without pushback, without social pressure. They would do that, right?
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
uh, yeah,
they might
go
not
ahead.
need to, because I don't know if you know the statistic, but 87% of teens have iPhone. So they
Yeah,
just might not need to,
I
right?
know, right?
So
It's like
we're
what's that said about us? I don't have kids. Again, I'm not parents, but
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when parents reach out and school reach out buying light film for kids, sometimes I wonder like it's not really the kids, it's you.
Yeah. Right. I mean, as parents, we do like they're not getting jobs so that they can buy $1,000 product. Like at the end of the day, yeah, it is us as parents
And
that are putting.
we can't even control ourselves on iPhone or smartphone or social media. Why the hell do we think the 14 years old could control themselves on an iPad? And
Yeah.
why the hell do we think we can give them that?
Yeah.
Then and without any problem, it's like opening up a wine cellar for your teenagers. Like, oh, go
Yeah.
for it. 1 hour limit, 2 hours
Yeah.
limit.
Yeah. It's so true. I've brought this up with many other experts. It's the one thing that we still do that we know is addictive. You know, there's endless
Yeah.
studies like the World Health Organization has called, it was not that long ago, but they have classified gaming disorder as an addiction, as a mental health disorder. It's like we don't let kids gamble. We don't let kids smoke. We don't let kids do a number of things.
But
But
here's
so we
a
let, yeah,
limitless, no
yeah,
guideline
yeah, yeah,
channel. Do whatever you want. Every horrible, disgusting, beautiful, wonderful, happy things are in here. Feel free.
yeah,
Feel
yeah.
free. Buffet.
And I think it's like hard to understand for many people, but I will say, I mean, it is still a brand new societal issue. To your point, you know, iPhone came out 2007. I would argue not until like the early 2010s is it was it where it is now, right? With iPhone 4. So it is still brand new. It's just moving so quickly and we've all just signed off on the status quo, you know,
Yeah,
very quickly, right? Like
yeah,
as adults, we're old enough to remember what it was like without it, but
yeah.
we've gotten to the point where we've let it take charge of us, even as adults. So, yeah,
Yeah, this is not driven. It's not being driven by what we actually need. I guess somewhat it is because all the beautiful, convenient tools are really helpful.
yeah,
But I think the underlying business model is what ruining everything tech, right?
yeah,
Now we have all the artificial intelligence, AI devices, AI this and that. But like, they're free. They're not free again.
yeah,
15 years later, again, not free. They need to make money somehow. ChatGPT have to make money somehow. How are they gonna make money if they
yeah.
don't pay for that service? Same
Well,
thing.
yeah.
uh,
I don't know if you're familiar with this quote. It's from the 90s. It's from this businessman, Charlie Munger. It's pretty famous. It is show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. So I
yeah.
think we've talked a lot about this already, but it's about
Yeah,
incentive.
it's
And
just
we,
as simple as that. It's not
yeah,
complicated. It's really simple because we need to make money. Company need to make money. They are a public traded company, they need to make sure their revenue grow every year. What's the most efficient way to grow revenue for a free app, free browser company like Google? Collect as many data as they can. How are you going to collect as many data as you can? Targeting people that tend to being addicted most easily, or show
yeah,
them the content they interact with most often, even though it's horrible content, doesn't matter to that company.
yeah,
So of course we are where we are, and with AI again, same thing. Just
yeah,
because someone figured out how to do generative programming, and with the program that look for the next words, it doesn't mean we need it. Doesn't
yeah,
mean it's gonna solve my problem. Doesn't mean this align with my mental health. Especially, it's free, and you're making money from data collecting and advertisement. Like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, 100% agree. Like everything with advertisement model and it's free, will does not matter what's the founder's intention. Does
yeah,
not matter what's your social angle, whatever you say.
yeah,
Doesn't matter. You will eventually become that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, let me ask you a little bit then, again, going back to this idea of humane technology, I guess, right? Because that's one of the things I love the most about Light is you guys are thinking about people and what's good for people, right? So how can companies, you guys have done it, design products and apps that are more humane? How can they do that?
Well, it's gonna be contradictory to what we just said, right? Because we're
Yeah.
for profit, we need to make money. We're not nonprofit. We need to be sustainable. We need to grow. But me personally, I think my co-founder Joe would agree with me that we have our principles which will not be crossed,
Hmm.
meaning that I will never sell advertisement or show advertisement on my product.
Hmm.
I will not collect data for profit. Um, and so a lot of people when they heard about iPhone and heard about us creating a few more utility tools, apps, they'll be like, "Oh, no, you become a smartphone." But in my mind, it is really clear. I'm happy to add more tools to the toolbox. They're all designed to do one thing well.
Hmm.
That's it. And you pay for that tool.
Yep.
And that's how I make money. And that's it. There's no trick. There's no underlying reason why I want to keep you in using my product. I do
Yep.
not need you to use my product all the time. I actually want you to buy it, know that you have this tool, now forget about it
Yep.
and live your life. So I guess, and obviously it's not like we don't have pressure from our investors or anyone else proposing, us do social media advertisement so that we could sell more phones, which we don't do.
Yeah.
And we draw the line. We're not gonna do that because that's what we're against. It doesn't mean that we do not have social media account. We have account. We have our footprint that we could interact with our communities and for people to ask questions to show them what we are, where we are in terms of the progress, next tools and here and that. But we draw the line to not pay social media to promote this company. Lighphone wouldn't exist without internet, right?
Yeah.
The first Lighphone was introduced on crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter in 2015,
Hmm.
and that campaign uh, give what we need to become who or where we to be where we are right now. We
Hmm.
will not exist without internet. Internet
Yeah.
is a great tool. It's a great human advancement, right? So I'm not against that at all. I'm not against technology at all. I welcome technology. I just don't think the attention economy need to be in every single app or social media tool that's
Yeah.
available. So yeah, I mean, it's not easy. It's obviously a temptation to someone tells you, oh, do advertisement, you grow 100x or
Yeah.
1000x, whatever that means. But at the same time, we definitely want to be profitable. We definitely want to grow, but at the same time, I we have our principle that what we choose not to do, which I think it's extremely valuable in today's environment, meaning that, if you get a venture capital investment, you could do anything. You could create anything you want. You could do every app or tool or function that you could think of, right? So when everyone could do that, what's valuable is what you choose not to do, right?
Hmm.
A lot of value come from what we choose not to do. And people, users, our community resonate with us and trust us that we will not do that, right? I think that's important for our brand, for our company, probably different for different industry, different company, but it works out for us and we feel proud about it. We sleep at night, right?
Yeah.
We're happy where we are. and we kept growing without advertisement at all. I don't pay social media to do paid marketing, but we kept growing. People talk about it, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like you know um, your podcast, you reach out the same. That's also help us spread
Yeah.
the word as well. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's yeah, that's how.
Definitely. I mean, goes back to intent. What's your intent as a company? Your intent is to give people back their time and, to put tech back in its lane as a tool, right? And that's it. It really goes back to that. I
Yeah,
mean,
simple as
I
that.
think, we could spend time drilling into social media companies and what could they do, but at the end of the day, because they can do it, by the way,
Of
they can
course.
make their products more humane, but it's kind of a pointless conversation if their intent is still to make money, right?
Well,
Because they're just not going
Google
to do
Google
it.
has created an app called Wellness app.
Uh-huh.
Apple create a screen time app.
Yep.
Samsung also create a well-being app,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, you know, it's a reaction to the pushback. It's
Yeah.
a reaction to the parents or people's negative feeling towards their product.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not how they make money.
No.
It's a PR stunt. It's
Yeah.
good to increase the awareness, which helps me. People learn about this screen time. Say, oh shit! Oh, I gotta stop, right? And they Google iPhone and find us, right? So it helped us, but to back to your question, it's not who they are. It's not how they make money.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
obviously, they're not gonna put in effort to make it actually helps because
No. In a
it's not.
way, I
Yeah.
think it's exactly what you said. It's PR or virtue signaling of some kind, right? And they all do it. That I don't know if you saw the TikTok story that came out recently. They're being sued by, I think it's like 14 states attorney generals, and some documents were leaked. And as part of that, they talked about their, I can't remember what it's called, but it kind of tells you, hey, you've been scrolling for a while, take a break. It only changed the data, moved the data by 1%, right? People spent like 1% less time. It doesn't work. They have it so that they can say, well, we do protect kids. This is important to us. But are these things really working? I can't, if that's not your incentive, right? Then how can it work? So
Yeah,
I think I
that's
agree
why.
with you.
I
It's
mean,
more,
I
no,
do hope they do something. They definitely can, and I hope as this movement grow, as more
yeah,
people reacting, realize there's a problem. I hope they have all the money in the world. They could do something.
yeah,
I mean, but at the same time, like simple things for us, right? Building a hardware, simple things like sourcing um, sustainable recycled plastic. You know,
hmm,
simple things like that. Apple is not doing it.
yeah,
Samsung's not doing it, and
no,
we spend months trying to find sustainable plastic made from different material like old CD DVDs or from fishing net, trying to use that material so that we reduce our footprint when we create this new phones. And at the same time, I'm not asking everyone to buy a new phone every 9 months. I mean,
yeah.
iPhone 2 has been out there for 5 years. We just announced iPhone 3, which I think it could last 5 to 10 years as long as 5G not being has will not be retired or being switched off. That's always the problem with carriers because they keep upgrading the service coverage, and we have to upgrade our chipset, which
Yeah.
require new phone. But anyway, that's a long way to answer your questions. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's really it's not that simple, but they they have all the resource in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Uh,
could. They
but yeah,
could. Well, you've been so generous with your time. Can I ask you one more thing? And I think it's going to be quick.
yeah,
And
of course.
it's about a trend that I'm noticing, and obviously light is part of this. And I think there's something as a marketer that's really part of what I do is I kind of look at and try to analyze trends. And I'm seeing what I'm calling segmenting tech use, and
Hmm.
light phone is part of that. And I'll explain that. So I think as humans, we are becoming more aware, right, of the distraction, the productivity loss of smartphone use. And it's funny, it's like, the iPhone was small, then it got big, now it's getting small again, right? So there's trends happening.
Full
And one
circle.
of them is, we used to have different tech tools for different things. We had our Palm Pilot, we had our computer, we had, right?
Yep.
So segmented. And then the smartphone became an all in one. I think there's a resurgence right now going back to this idea of segmented tech, and
Mhm.
light plays into that. So different tools for different tasks. We've got, light phone for a phone. An iPhone's not a phone, it's a supercomputer. We've got companies like Books doing e-readers. We have, in my house, we use a Skylight calendar. All it does is a calendar, but it'll sync to your phone. So I just wanted you to respond to that and see if what your insights are on this trend, and how do you think it improves our lives if we think about this as a concept.
Yeah. Well, I think in 20 years, when we look back at where we are, we'll be laughing. We're like,
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Like, the earth is still beautiful. We have trees, cloud, blue sky. Why are we doing this as a species? I think this is temporary. The smartphone addiction, swiping and staring, this is temporary.
Hmm.
This, in going forward, my scenario or my thesis is that technology need to disappear. Doesn't mean it goes away. You just need to disappear. Meaning you
Hmm.
just, in our life, it's not visible, but when you need it, you ask for it and it help you get that task finished quickly so we could go back to living our life. And, I think it's similar scenario that you lay out, that all this function that now cramp into smartphone will be distributed to different places that's not visible.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah.
I also feel like um, you can. There are certain things that we, as human species, we treasure. It cannot be replaced. Like playing guitar,
Hmm.
playing pianos, right? Be a really enjoy photographer, taking photos with a real good camera, right? Different lens and all that, or like drawing, painting. No matter how much technology advance, AI generated intelligence, no matter how advanced that goes to, those human passion activities cannot be replaced
Yeah.
and will not be replaced. I think Apple did a video with the new iPad a couple of months ago, right? You
Yeah.
probably saw that. They
Yeah.
have
It
a new
tracks
iPad.
everything.
Yeah, they have like all the human activity instruments,
Yep.
saxophone, pianos, painting set, and they just like boom, crash into
Oh,
iPad, and they think they put it up in the announcement or whatever, and think that's and they think that's okay, and they get a lot of pushback. I was like,
yeah.
this video is announced when Tim Cook on stage, so it's definitely being vetted in different stage by different executive team, right? So many people in Apple watch this video and say, oh, it's fine. It looks good.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so out of touch for that
Yeah.
video.
It
I'm
was
not
such a
saying.
misstep. Yeah. I think I'm optimistic like you that people at the end of the day are not okay with giving up our humanity, right? And that's
Yeah,
kind
you
of where
can.
we're headed. And yeah.
We can. Well, otherwise we'll just live in the box, put on a goggle, put on our headphones, and never go
Yeah.
out again and live in a virtual
Yeah.
environment like the old movie, The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just once we ruin the Earth, uh, air is polluted, no blue sky, no tree, nothing out there. Then sure, I mean, right, you gotta do what you gotta do when
Yeah.
that
But we're
time
not there
comes.
yet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I've taken
Yeah.
so much of your time. I know you're busy. Go build awesome products that are going to
Oh,
help
thank you.
us gain our humanity back. I told you this privately, but I will be switching to light phones. So maybe we can come back and kind of talk about my personal experiences of how it worked. But I'm a huge super
Oh, thank
fan.
you.
I'm also recommending it as a kid's first phone. So we didn't get to talking
Thank you.
about that too much, but I think it's absolutely a perfect way to stay connected to your kids without plugging them into becoming a product for big tech.
I appreciate
So
it.
I love what you're doing. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.